The highly anticipated brand new trailer for Supergirl is finally here, and man did it impress and answer a lot of the questions that I had after the original teaser trailer that we got a couple of months back, which I did think was solid and enjoyed because I just think Millie Alcock is perfect for this role, and I was so excited to see the amazing Woman of Tomorrow comic book adapted on the big screen. But where that trailer maybe felt a bit too comedic, visually dull, and missing some of the key elements of the comic, this trailer feels like a real step in the right direction, and overall I thought it was a great new trailer. It of course is not perfect, I still have plenty of questions, and there are things even within this trailer that I still do not like, but I'm definitely counting down the days until Supergirl comes out this June, because I have a real feeling that this is going to be a hit for the DCU, and Supergirl is going to end up being a lot of people's favorite character in the DCU. Of course, with this being the first legitimate trailer that we've gotten for the movie and not just a teaser, I like how we start out immediately diving into what the crux of the story is going to actually be about, and that is Kara, who is still dealing with the loss of her family, not knowing how to process and deal with that trauma, and instead resorting to things like alcohol so that she can cope and avoid dealing with the trauma from her past, which is truly terrifying, which we get hinted at a bit more in this trailer as we get to see a bit more of Argo City, the funeral which is most likely for her mother, and of course we get to see her last moment with her father as she is being shipped off Argo City to save her own life. The opening part of the trailer does a really phenomenal job of just emphasizing how alone and isolated Kara feels, and it makes you really feel for the character. Obviously it's hinting a little bit at the trauma she's gone through, and I think you can pick up on that by the trailer, but I mean, for those of you who have read the comic and know what she's had to go through, it really makes you feel bad for Kara, and the trailer is really hammering in that point, and it's making it very clear that the only thing that she has left from her past life and family is Crypto. Now of course there is Clark on Earth, which I do have to say it was awesome to see David Corenswet Superman once again, even with the wig. I'm so glad we are once again seeing characters cross over into other projects. The DCU is really starting to feel like a vast connected universe, and in this instance I do not think it's just some sort of cheap cameo just so we can get Superman in the film and in the trailer, hopefully to sell some more tickets. Well, I shouldn't entirely say that because I have no doubt that they included this shot specifically in the trailers to get more eyes on the movie and hopefully get more people to buy tickets. But from a story perspective, I absolutely think it makes sense for Superman to be checking in on his cousin and the last of his biological family. If anything, using Superman for a moment like this I think only reinforces the great characterization of Superman and just shows how caring he is in this universe, and I am personally never going to complain about seeing more Superman. I am curious to see just how large of a role he has in the movie, as he does not have a role in the Woman of Tomorrow comic, but I'm assuming it's going to be probably a pretty limited role, maybe 2 or 3 scenes at max, which is perfectly fine by me, and I really don't actually want any more scenes than that because I do not want Superman taking any time away from Supergirl in her own movie. I would just like to see how that relationship develops as the movie goes on and just learn about, their relationship more in general in the DCU. However, back to Supergirl, the opening of the trailer makes it very clear that the relationship between Crypto and Kara is very strong, and Kara cares a lot about Crypto, probably even more than she does for Clark, as their bond was born from shared trauma that they had to experience on Argo City. And I think really hammering that in before we get the big reveal of what happens to Crypto at the hands of Krem is great because it makes Kara very relatable to the average moviegoer, as so many of us have our own pets that we care deeply about, and if something were to happen to those pets, we would go to any length to save them, and that's of course how the story gets set into the motion as we have this race against time to save Crypto, wink wink. One thing that I do think is a bit odd is how sidelined Ruthie continues to be in these trailers. In the book, she is obviously a very important part to the story and the true reason Kara sets off on her adventure across space to find Krem, but if you were to never read the book, you would not know that at all from the trailers. I hope and honestly do think they are potentially hiding that, as I think it's much easier to market a film as a revenge story because someone heard Crypto, and I do think we get a little hint towards the actual story of Supergirl and Ruthie's relationship towards the end of the trailer, with Kara telling Ruthie, "Revenge won't take away your pain," which I do think much better encompasses the story of the book than what is currently being marketed as this race against time to save Crypto, but I do think that line is quite revealing as to what the actual foundation of the movie is going to be, and that is the relationship between Ruthie and Kara. Or at least that's what I hope, because I think Ruthie is a phenomenal character in the book, and the bond she has with Kara by the end of the story is truly great, and I really would like to see it on the big screen. Of course, the main villain of the movie is going to be Krem of the Yellow Hills, which we definitely get to see more of in this trailer, and I will say this continues to probably be the biggest negative for me, as this portrayal really does nothing for me. In the actual book, it's not like Krem is some amazing villain that rivals Supergirl's strength or is some terrifying villain. Truthfully, he's just a scumbag that has played a role in a lot of horrific acts and really isn't a threat to Kara. In a lot of ways, he is just a device to send Kara on a journey across space with Ruthie, so I suppose I should not have super high expectations for what he's going to be in the movie, but I think the one thing that just makes me want to hate on this character a little more is the fact that I just really hate this redesign. It's not even like the design of Krem in the book is amazing, but I think it is way better than what we have gotten from the movie, and the thing that is the most confusing part of the redesign is I think the actor Matthias Schoenaerts could absolutely pull off the look of the character from the comics, which makes me question the need for a redesign at all. I know it's them trying to make Krem seem much more intimidating and more like a threat, but it just does not work for me, and when it comes to what the character has done in the trailer so far, I really don't have much to say because it's been pretty uneventful. He's a dick for shooting Crypto, and I 100% want to see Kara beat the shit out of him, but outside of that, I got nothing. At least we got to hear him speak in this trailer and his line about Kara's eyes and how he likes how they look when she cries with all the pain and suffering. I think once again does a great job of reinforcing the fact that this version of Kara has been through a lot of shit, hence why she is where she is at the beginning of the movie, so I suppose I like that part, but at the end of the day, Krem is really just in the movie to put Kara over for the audience, and even though I think every movie is better with a great antagonist, I do not have high hopes for Krem, and honestly, that's okay. This movie is about Kara and Ruthie's journey and growth. If they can deliver on that, I can skip over the fact that Krem is not some great villain. Maybe he proves me wrong though, who knows. I would love to be proven wrong, but based on the book and the trailers so far, I am pessimistic, but thankfully, I think the movie can still be a great time with a C-list villain. One character that we got a lot more of in this trailer and absolutely made me excited to see even more of is Jason Momoa's Lobo. Now, does he really do a lot in this trailer? No, but he just looks so great in the role, and it feels surreal to see Lobo kicking ass in a movie. I'm still curious to see just how much time Lobo gets in the movie, as he is a new addition to the story. I kind of wonder if we're seeing a lot of Lobo screen time used in the trailers to help sell the movie and get more people into theaters, but I really don't care. It's an absolute treat to see Lobo, and you can just tell Jason Momoa is having the time of his life, playing the role he was born to play. I'm calling it now. By mid-July, it'll definitely be announced that a Lobo film is in development, and not only will I be immensely excited as a fan, but I really think it's a wise business decision from DC Studios, because I think Lobo could absolutely become a fan favorite character in the DCU for years to come. One thing that seems noticeably improved in this trailer is the visuals, which I do not think the first trailer was just filled with awful visuals, but they certainly left a lot to be desired, especially when you compare it to the art from the book, which was just breathtaking. Now, I do think that what we see in this trailer is still far away from reaching the heights of the book, but I am glad it seems to be getting better, and I am optimistic when the movie comes out in June, it'll be even better, and I'm sure they're hiding a lot of the best and craziest looks, as it's very possible those shots are still being worked on, and there is no need to show everything in a trailer, which is something I think the marketing has done a pretty good job of so far. Yes, we've gotten a lot of plot points and potential reveals, but a lot of the trailers have revolved around a lot of the same scenes, which gives me hope that there still is lots of goodies that they are currently hiding. Craig Gillespie confirmed that the film would feature 9 distinct planets, and we have definitely not seen that many planets featured in the 2 trailers we have gotten so far, so I'm choosing to be optimistic, even though I totally admit I do not expect the movie to reach the full heights of the art from the comic book, as that would probably require an extreme budget, and I'm not sure I've ever seen a superhero movie as visually stunning as the Woman of Tomorrow art. It probably isn't really feasible with the need to pay for all the action, the cast, the sets, and everything else that goes into making a huge budgeted film like this. Additionally, it is rumored that Supergirl has a pretty modest budget, somewhere between $100 million and $150 million, and if that is the case, I'm pretty encouraged with what we've seen so far. However, the most encouraging thing from this trailer, and the reason that I am just so confident in this movie, is just the presence Millie Alcock brings to the screen as Kara Zor-El. I just totally buy this casting and think she is absolutely going to kill it in this movie. In this trailer, she shows off such a wide variety of different emotions and personality traits that showcase just how talented of an actress she is. She is powerful when put into action. She clearly showcases the trauma and potential guilt she constantly bears on her shoulders after what happened to Krypton, and more specifically Argo City. We see real compassion and care for Crypto after he is injured by Krem, and towards the end of the trailer, we see her in the role of almost a mentor, attempting to lead Ruthie on a better path. One thing that gives this movie such a high floor in my opinion is the casting of Millie Alcock as Supergirl, which I think is just perfect, and I think there is a good chance that this role gets her a lot more work in the future. And when zooming out to take a look at the movie as a whole, I truly think this is going to be a crowd-pleasing hit this summer, along the lines of some MCU Phase 2 and 3 movies like Ant-Man and Doctor Strange, which I know it's fun to hate on the MCU, but these were movies that absolutely resonated with both audiences and critics alike, and were great introductions for characters to the general audience, which were mostly seeing them for the first time. Of course, Supergirl is a bit better known than those two characters, but Supergirl is sadly still mostly known as Superman's cousin in the eyes of many, and for a lot of people, this is going to be the first time truly learning about Kara and why she isn't just Superman's cousin. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to reach the box office heights of something like Doctor Strange, but that's a discussion for another video. And of course, we are still just talking about trailers, and maybe when I step out of the theater on June 26th, I may think that this movie absolutely sucks, but I'd be shocked, as I truly do think this looks like it's going to be another great step in the right direction for the DCU and will set up Supergirl as a pillar of the DCU for years to come. I want to know though, what did you think of the trailer? Please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in another video.